I am joined by Ella Mastrantonio, who plays for Lazio. Thank you for joining me, Ella.
No worries. Thank you for having me, Shannon.
How did you first get into football and where did your love for football first start?
Basically, probably the old cliche that, my older brother was playing. So, of course, everyone wants to kind of follow whatever your sibling's doing. So I think I joined his football team when I was about 5. And yeah, I suppose just fell in love with it from there.
Did you have a favorite player growing up? If so, who was it?
Yeah. Um, since I've gotten older, obviously, my perception of football has changed. But when I was younger, I used to love Del Piero and others, as of course. But since I got older and more serious I got into football, I think for my position, Andrea Pirlo. But overall, I'll have to say Messi is my favorite for many years.
Good choice. You played in the A-League women's first ever season. As a footballer, what was the feeling with all the players around the league at that time?
I think it was like, oh, thank God that something like this has come along, especially for me being, I think, 15, 16 at the time. It couldn't be more perfect timing for me because I was making that step into the national teams, and it's obviously for the development of the best players we needed a league. So yeah, it was very exciting, and yeah, very thankful that it came along, and it's still going now. So it's great for Australian football.
And your first professional club was Perth Glory. So, what do you remember about making your professional debut? And personally, how do you think you went during that match?
I remember it was against Sydney FC, I think, at our home ground. I can't really remember exactly how it went, as in like myself or my performance, but obviously was I can guarantee I would have been nervous because I'm a very anxious person as it is. So, but no, I think the excitement probably overran those emotions. So yeah, it was an exciting time, I suppose, in my career.
Now, one thing I've noticed about you is you have worn number 21 a lot during your playing career. I was speculating that perhaps it was because of Andrea Pirlo. So, is there any special meaning behind that number?
No, you just hit the nail on the head. He's my favorite player for my position. So, and I just like the number 21 as well. So, yeah, I'm kind of stuck with it in my older years. So, yeah, it gives me some inspiration, I think.
So, if you look at your page on Wikipedia for your career at the start, it went Perth Glory, Melbourne Victory, Perth Glory, Melbourne Victory, Perth Glory, Melbourne Victory. What was it like just switching between those two clubs for quite some time and traveling between pretty much one side of Australia to the other?
Yeah, I think I really enjoyed doing that, but I was still quite young, I think, at the time. I think the first time I headed over to Victory, I was only 17, 18. So the next year I was like, okay, I kind of want to return home, and enjoy mum's cooking and, living under the roof. But then I had didn't really get on or agree with the coach at the time. So I was like, okay, I need to get back out of here. So obviously Victory was like, basically turned into my second home, and Melbourne turned into my second home. So it was a no-brainer whenever the opportunity arose again. So, and of course at that time it was Dave Edmondson first, sorry, was the second coach I had at Victory, and then obviously Joe Montemuro was the coach the third time I went, and yeah, that kind of explains itself to where he is now. So I've thoroughly enjoyed my years at Victory every time.
And then after those two clubs, you finally moved to a club in Australia that wasn't Victory or Perth. That was Western Sydney Wanderers. So, what was your time like at the Wanderers?
Oh, probably, like I said, I've always enjoyed my time at Victory, and I was like, okay, this is probably the best I've always experienced and played. But then going to Wanderers, it was a very anxious time because there was a lot of uncertainty of where I was going to go after that season with Victory. As I couldn't return to Victory for certain reasons. So to be fair, it was a very horrible time for me. Actually, personally, dealing with that year, just in general, I literally was close to even quitting. So I was like, I don't know if I can do it, going to a new city again, restarting again. But it turned out to be the best decision of my life, pretty much, because of that, I've ended up actually over in Bristol last season, and then of course now here. So as they say, I think everything happens for a reason. And yeah, between the coaching staff, the players, the facilities, the club, it was just incredible.
Speaking of Bristol, that leads me to my next question. You did move to Bristol after the Wanderers. That's your first move overseas after playing your whole career in Australia. So firstly, how did that move come about?
They reached out to me, I think it was in January of the season, and they wanted me to go in the January window, similar to what Chloe Lagazzo did with Sydney FC. She left in the January transfer window. But because we were having such a good season for the Wanderers and about to make history of making finals for the first time ever in club's history, I felt I wanted to honour my contract and try and help the team and the club, do that for the first time. So I said, look, I'd like to come either after the WLeague season, or obviously next season I'll still be keen, but then obviously COVID hit. So the plan was to go after the WLeague season, but then obviously within 2 weeks everything shut down and everything was cancelled. So luckily enough, they were still keen to get me over in June, and then so I headed over in June, July.
Speaking of COVID, what was it like being a professional footballer overseas in a strange country at the start of a global pandemic?
Strange. To be fair, in England, when I first arrived, it was in semi-lockdown. It wasn't too bad, but obviously still no fans and stuff like that. But then about 2 months in, it was complete lockdown, so you couldn't really go anywhere, etc. But the one thing I will say is the games just felt like friendly games, because obviously there was no crowd. So every time we'd play against Chelsea, Arsenal, Everton, it was bizarre. It's like, it feels like it's just going to like a training match, but it's actually not. It's actually the league. So it kind of, to be fair, it helped with, being nervous for games and stuff. I'm like, oh, it's just another game, but so obviously when the crowd's involved, it's completely different. So it was bizarre in that context, but still a great experience. And at the end of the day, I'm there for football. So it was training and come home. That's usually my kind of lifestyle anyway.
And the WSL is considered as the best league in women's football. Just how big was the difference between the women's ALeague and the WSL for you personally?
Yeah, like you said, you're playing against some of those teams with the best players in the world. It's just a different world completely. But I would say that it was a lot faster physically, and speed of play, obviously, a lot quicker. So I think just technically overall, the players were at a higher level, each individually. So, it's a very good level. But yeah, like I said, when you play the top teams, it's just world class. So there's basically nearly no comparison really. And just the offer of full-time football year round, like I said, there's no comparison. So it's how you become a better player, is playing with and against the best.
And you're now at Lazio. What's it like playing for such a big club? Do you feel pressure or anything like that?
Yeah, like, again, different world over here compared to in Australia. Football is life over here. You walk around the streets, and if you're in the Lazio gear from training or whatever, and everyone's either saying Forza Lazio or Go Roma, I won't say the words, but so it's a different world over here. So, and then people that we live near, they're like, how did you go? Did they watch? So I wouldn't say it's like pressure, but, it's taken, I feel like, a lot seriously over here. Obviously, we haven't won a game yet, but we've played 4 of the 5 top teams, and the team and most of the players have just come from Serie B. So there's that time of adjustment needed. But already the president has come and had a meeting with us and talked to us. So you can tell they really take it seriously here. So, and representing such a big club, I think there has to be internal pressure for yourself to try and always give your best, I suppose.
You posted a photo on social media the other day of yourself and Ciro Immobile, one of the best players in the world. I'd imagine there'd be a lot of good experiences like that being at a club like Lazio. So just what are some of your favorite experiences so far?
Yeah, luckily enough, we train where the men train. So I think we were just returning to get treatment the other day after training. We didn't expect him to be there, and then he was just, having his own photo shoot, and he's lovely. Like, we asked him, we were just watching what he was doing, and they always come and say hello, all the players. Like, or was it before one of our games? I think they must have had training before one of their games, and you're walking past Pedro, Milinkovic, like all the top players over here, and they're all saying hello, and they're all very, very nice, and the staff are all very nice. So yeah, it's like I said, it's a different world over here.
You've played for the Matildas as well. What is it like putting on the green and gold and representing your country?
Again, there's no words for that. That's the highest honor pretty much that you can get as a professional footballer. So yeah, and it was always my dream from a very young age, starting out in football, and for it to happen, on a few occasions, it's pretty incredible. So I'm very lucky, and I'm very grateful for the opportunities to put on the green and gold, and just seeing your last name and my family's name on the back of the shirt, it's pretty special. So yeah.
You've even scored for the Matildas. Can you talk us through that goal if you remember it?
Yeah, it was top bins. It was actually a really good goal, but it was in the AFF Championship back in 2008. So I think we were playing against, was it semi-final, I think. Loz Colthorpe, which was an old Matildas player. It was a free kick about just outside, in between the halfway line and the box, and then she just played it short to me, and I just hit it for some reason, which I never really do, and it just did a bit of a what's the word? Just sailed into the top corner. So, but back then I don't think there was many, as technology things go, there wasn't really many cameras, so I don't know if I was ever captured on film, but it's for my memory bank, so that's good enough. And
throughout the interview, I've been referring to the WLeague, or what was the WLeague, as ALeague Women's, which is what it's now called after kind of takeover, mergers one, which the PFA has done recently. As a footballer, what are your personal thoughts on this whole rebranding of the ALeague, the WLeague, the youth leagues?
It's great to see. I think that obviously we're all under one big branch now. It kind of merges us all together as one. But in saying that, I hope that obviously more investment and more effort is made into making the leagues and the clubs, on par with the men and with the youth, because that's the real kind of hardcore change that we need and want to see for the future. So although it's a fantastic first step, but of course in the women's game there's always more that we need to do. So hopefully it's the first step in a long road into making things kind of equal and getting the full-time league happening for us and full-time investment. So yeah, it's a great first step.
And for you personally, what are your goals and what are you hoping to achieve for the rest of 2021?
Rest of 2021, probably give my all for Lazio, get some wins on the board, and hopefully shock some people in the league over here, and then also just to keep myself in contention with the Matildas. That's always kind of be my end goal, and and the reason why I want to keep playing at the top. So hopefully we can move forward and all those things can happen.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Ella. It's been an absolute pleasure.
No worries. Thank you so much for having me, Shannon.
Thank you for watching. This video is sponsored by Arrow Sport. Go to the link in the description and the friendly team at Arrow Sport will help you create your own football dream jersey. Whether it's starting from scratch or using one of their many templates on their website, creating a jersey with Arrow Sports is easy and prices start from just $50. Go to www.arrowsport.com.au and make your football kit dreams become a reality.